The Elite Four and Champion are the strongest trainers in their respective games, but we're going to be finding out whether they can actually beat the entire game or not. So we're allowed to pick one Pokemon from each member of the Elite Four and Champion, and we've got to use it on the playthrough and see whether we can beat the game. And a few extra rules are that we're not allowed to heal in battle and that we can overlevel. After Barry rudely charges in and goes on our computer, we're ready to go get our first Pokemon. And the only starter Pokemon in the Elite Four is going to be Flint's Chimchar. And now that we've got our Pokedex and a very serious looking Chimchar, we're ready to start the run. So we catch a Bidoof, but it's not allowed to help us in any way, shape or form. It's just a HM slave. And it's time for our first proper rival battle. And we take care of his Starlit easily enough with a couple of embers. And we get an early burn on the Piplup, which makes the first rival battle go down quite smoothly. And the level cap is 14 for the first gym, which is perfect for evolving our Chimchar and getting Mach Punch. And now it's time to take on the first gym. Geodude goes down easily enough with a couple of Mach Punches. Onix goes down with a couple of Mach Punches and an Ember, but it does get a Screech up before we actually take it out. Unfortunately, we do survive on 1 health to the Craniodos's headbutt, and then we finish the battle with a Mach Punch, getting our first gym badge. Moving on to Valley Windworks, where we face our first commander, Commander Mars. This shouldn't be too difficult because we do have Monferno. And we take down the Zubat in 2 Flame Wheels. Glad it didn't use Confuse Ray and went with a Bite. Then we comfortably take down the Perugly with a few Mach Punches and beat our first commander. We had to be careful not to overlevel, but we get to Gardner just in time and take on our next gym battle. Unfortunately, we don't take out the Turtwig in 1 shot, and the Turtwig puts Reflect up. So knowing the Turtwig can't do much damage to us, we decide to just use Mach Punch until the Reflect wears off. And then as soon as it wears off, we finish the Turtwig off with a Flame Wheel. And because the Turtwig Sunny Day was still up for 1 more turn, that allows us to 1-shot the Sherim with a Flame Wheel. And then the Roserade misses a Stun Spore on its first turn, which allows us to use another Flame Wheel and get our second gym badge. This should be the last battle we have to do with only having Monferno. It's going to be Commander Jupiter. This time the Zubat has Wing Attack and does a lot of damage to us straight away, which is a little bit worrying. But we managed to take it out turn 2 with another Flame Wheel. The Skuntank comes out and poisons us on the same turn that we burn it. But because the burn cuts its attack, it's not able to finish off, and we defeat Commander Jupiter with 15 HP remaining. And now we finally have the next Pokemon in the form of an egg, the one that Cynthia gives you after you take care of Commander Jupiter. The only issue is it's a Togepi and won't be able to do much until it evolves with High Friendship. And one of the main reasons we went with Togepi is because Togetic and Togekiss are some of the only Pokemon in the Elite Four that can learn Fly. So we catch the next member of the team straight away, and it's going to be Bronzer, who has a lot of resistances and also has Levitate. And now we have to take on Fantina, who will probably be one of the most difficult gym leaders of the run. And after baiting out one of her super potions on Duskull, we do manage to finish him without too much trouble. And now it's Haunter's turn, who misses a Hypnosis and basically gives us a free takedown. So we use Flame Wheel, and now all that's left is the Miss Magius. So it causes us way too much trouble. It nearly takes us out in 1 shot, so we recall Monferno and send out Bronzer. And we do manage to do a little bit of damage, but unfortunately Bronzer goes down in the end. So risking a little bit of friendship, we do send Togepi out and use Yawn. And unexpectedly, we actually tank Psybeam great and don't take that much damage. And then we just use Metronome to see what it's got, and thankful for us, it uses Healing Wish, which is a move that takes itself out. We bring Monferno in, and then the wish will come true and put us on maximum health, and Monferno gets a fresh start again. But not only that, the Miss Magius is now asleep, so we can just attack without worrying about getting crit by a Psybeam or anything. And Togepi plays a massive part in beating Fantina. It's always the innocent looking ones that put on the biggest performances. Okay, now it's time to take on Barry. He should be quite a challenge now. And the Staravia turns out to be a pain by spamming Double Team and then whenever it's low in health using Endeavor, and ends up taking down our Bronzer. Now, I had to just risk it and send out Monferno to see if we could hit, and we hit the first Mach Punch, which is great. And then Prinplup comes out, so we send in Togepi to use Yawn, try and get it to sleep for Monferno. And then we decide to just use Metronome to see what we get, and we actually get a really good move in Psywave, which deals quite a bit of damage. But I didn't want to keep using Metronome just in case it didn't work out, so we send in Monferno to finish the job. And then we keep Monferno out to take care of the Ponyta because it doesn't have a way of damaging us. And then after many turns of being paralyzed, we finally connect a second attack on Roselia and finish the job and defeat Barry. And now the chosen one from Cynthia herself is evolving, and we finally have a Togetic. And now we're at the 4th gym, Maylene, and it's Bronze's time to shine. Maybe not, because we do get faked out on turn 1. And Meditite actually turned out to be a lot more of a challenge than I thought it would be for Bronzer, but we get there in the end. And she sends out her ace, Lucario, at 2nd, but because of an iron defense earlier, we do survive it on 3 health and get a Confused Ray out. And it hurts itself in confusion, so we use Hypnosis to just delay the amount Lucario can attack even more. And then the Lucario wakes up and hurts itself in confusion again, putting it in range for us to finish it off with an extra Sensory. So Bronzer with 23 health beats Lucario. We don't complain with that. Unfortunately, Machoke gets 2 crits on Togetic, first attack and last attack, and takes us out. But we just bring Monferno in to finish it off with a Mach Punch and get our 4th gym badge. And now that we have Fly, we go west to Eterna City and catch ourselves our next Pokemon in Barboach. And then straight after, we level it up a little bit so it can evolve into a great addition to the team in Whiscash, who is our first fully evolved Pokemon of the run. Took a while to find, but we got our final Pokemon in Skorupi from the Great Marsh. So Bronzer is now evolving into Bronzong, which I was waiting for because Bronzong is now going to be an absolute tank. And it's time for a rematch with Crash Awake's disciple, also known as Barry. So he tries the shenanigans with the double team again, but Whiscash got put to the test and one-shots the Staravia with Ice Beam, which we got after going for the game corner for a couple of hours. And then we brought Skorupian against Roselia just to set up Spike, see if it did much, see if it did anything at all. And then Monferno gets switched in and one-shots the Roselia. And with the Prinplup being poisoned, we do finish him off with Whiscash with a Magnitude 7 and then a Magnitude 8. And then we thought we'd switch Togetic in, give him a chance, and we use Ancient Power on the Ponyta and finish it off in one shot due to a crit. And we beat Barry just before our next gym battle. And just before fighting the actual gym leader, we decide to evolve Monferno into Monfernape. Now, onto the next gym leader in Leader Crash Awake, who I am a little bit worried about because of his Gyarados, who could cause us a lot of problems. But fortunately, we don't flinch turn 1 and we use Yawn, put him to sleep, and a few Ancient Powers does the trick. If we got one of the boosts, I might have stayed in, but because we didn't, I'm going to switch out. Unfortunately, Floatzel does get a crit crunch and do a lot more damage than I thought it was going to do, and Whiscash goes down. But risking it with Infernape, I assume we're faster and hope that we can take it out in one shot with a close combat, which we just learned on evolving, and we do. And then for his Quagsire, we just use a few extra sentries, which do a lot more damage than I actually originally thought they would, and we take down the next gym leader. And it looks like we're finally fighting the mysterious man that is the galactic boss himself in Cyrus. I lead with the wrong Pokemon, so I just switch in Infernape and figure a Mach Punch will be enough because it's 4 times weak to fighting, and we take down the Sneasel. Then we manage to take down his Golbat with a couple of extra sentry from Bronzong. Unfortunately, his Murkrow does crit us, which takes down our Togetic. So we just bring out Whiscash to get a little bit of revenge with our Ice Beam, which finishes him off once and for all. Before we can fight the 6th gym, I'll go to Iron Island. We do need to battle Barry once again. We do make quick work of his Staraptor with a couple of extra sensories from Bronzong. Then we bring Whiscash in to one-shot his Rapidash easily enough. Then Infernape one-shots his Roserade with a Flame Wheel. And Whiscash has a few low rolls on Magnitude, so it did take us a few turns to take out his Empoleon. To my surprise, Heracross survives a 4 times weak Fly from Togetic, so we just finish him off with a return and take down Barry once again. After going through Iron Island with Riley, we finally managed to evolve our long-awaited Togetic into Togekiss. And then comes our final evolution as Skorupi evolves into Drapion. Next is going to be the 6th gym leader, Byron. I wanted to see just how broken Togekiss would be for this because it has Aura Sphere. I did get a few heart scales and Togekiss one-shots the Magneton with Aura Sphere, so pretty broken. He brings out his ace Pokemon, so we keep Togekiss in for now just to see if we can one-shot this as well. I didn't think we would, but we do just one-shot it. Unfortunately, we can one-shot the Steelix, even though I do think we would be able to because it does have Sturdy. So we use Air Slash and then Aura Sphere and the Steelix goes down. And that's 6 gym badges down, 2 to go. So now off to the lakes to try and stop Team Galactic, starting with Commander Saturn, who doesn't really last very long with her first Pokemon in Golbat because Bronzong is such a good counter for Golbats. And then Bronzer comes out, so we switch in Infernape and take it out with 2 Flame Wheels. And then Toxicroak comes up, which is the ace, so we bring in Whiscash to take it out with 2 Magnitudes. And that's 1 commander down, 1 to go. Next is arguably the weakest commander because of the starter we chose. It's going to be Commander Mars. Same strategy as last time. We start with Bronzong, who takes care of the Golbat. Switch to Infernape, who takes care of the Bronzer. And then we just stay in with Infernape and use Close Combat, which is guaranteed to take out the Perugly. And Commander Mars goes down. And with that done, we can go and take down the 7th gym, Cold Candice. Before we did that, we did get a few moves for a couple of hours. We did spend time just getting loads of moves, and Brick Break was one of those, which makes light work of Sneasel. And don't ask me why I didn't use Flamethrower, but we used Brick Break on Pillow-Swine and it doesn't take it out. And the Pillow-Swine makes us pay by absolutely one-shotting us with Earthquake. And then we make the same mistake again. Don't know why I used Ice Beam, but second turn, after taking quite a lot of damage, we do use Surf and finish off the Pillow-Swine. And it's time for Drapion to be involved in a very important fight, so we send it out for a Bomber Snow, and 2 Poison Jabs are enough to finish it off. And she sends in Frostlass, which could be a problem because it starts double team spamming, and she manages to take out our Bronzong. Now, very risky, but we bring in Togekiss because I was pretty sure we could survive any shot, and we use Air Slash to finish it off. And Commander Cold Candice goes down for us to get our 7th gym badge. And now we have to take down Cyrus again at the Team Galactic base of operations. Drapion takes care of Sneasel with a Rock Slide and a Poison Jab. Honestly, I don't know whether we're underleveled, but it worries me how much damage Drapion does take. So Whiscash uses Ice Beam, Honchkrow comfortably survives it and takes us out with a Drill Peck, and also takes down our Bronzong after using a full restore. And after causing us a lot of trouble, Togekiss does take it down. But it looks like we're quite underleveled at the minute, but we're just gonna keep going and see what we can do. So after missing an attack, the Crobat takes us out, unfortunately. And then it takes down our Drapion as well. And I can't remember the last time we went down to just 1 Pokemon and was pushed into a corner like this. But I suppose he is the leader of Team Galactic for a reason. And we finished the Crobat off with a Flamethrower from Infernape. Considering that's not the final battle with him, I should probably come more prepared next time. And now that we've took out Cyrus, it feels like we can take on the entire universe, or in this case, Commander Saturn. Unfortunately, we did hurt ourselves in confusion 3 to 4 times in a row with Drapion, and Drapion went down, so we bring in Whiscash to finish the job with an Ice Beam. I just kept Whiscash in against Bronzer, knowing it would just try and confuse me and then just use the extra Sentry, but we do manage to take it down in the end. And knowing that the actual Whiscash learned Earthquake at level 45, we gave Infernape Earthquake for situations like this. And even though it didn't stab, it does a lot of damage and takes down the Toxicroak in 2 shots, and we get the win over Commander Saturn. Now, be free, my young legendary Pokemon. This Charon, he just sits here and flames everyone that loses to it. Other options need to be considered, one befitting the genius of Charon. Yep, fair enough. Now it's time for the double battle, us and Barry against Mars and Jupiter. Let's do this. It should actually be quite easy. And the reason for that is we can just spam Surf and Earthquake and it will hit both of their players and we don't have to care about Barry's Pokemon. And they was literally just targeting the Nuzlocke, so that works out great for us. We take out both the bronzes on the same turn, and we also take out the Nuzlockes. So one brings out Golbat, one brings out Perugly, so we make sure to get rid of the Golbat first, and it really helps us by giving us a crit so that Skuntank can come out and we can use Earthquake on both of them. Heracross actually helps us out by using close combat on Perugly, because that was the only one I was like, are we going to take it out in 2 shots? Are we not? It was too undecided. And then we take down the Skuntank with an Earthquake, and we also take down the Heracross, which is actually good for us because he brings out Staraptor next, who uses Takedown and nearly takes out the Golbat in 1 shot, does over half of the damage to it, and then we finish it off with another crit Ice Beam. And we take down both of them while only using 1 Pokemon, really. Oh, here they are, the commanders of space and time. And the Lake Guardians that we saved appearing in spec form. And if you look at the small screen in the top right, you will see the devilish being of Shadow. And here we are in the distortion world, which is actually the background we used behind the Pokeballs. Props to you guys that actually realize that. And it's time for one last battle with Cyrus, who is a massive pain, and the only way I can see us taking care of Gyarados without it taking out half our team is just get infinite flinches with Togekiss, and that's exactly what we do. We did get hit with a critical hit Ice Fang though, which was unfortunate, so we do have to switch out and make very quick work of the Weavile. It does hold a Citrus Berry, but it doesn't get to use it as we use a 4-time super effective Brick Break with Infernape. And one of the most annoying Pokemon from our previous encounter goes down very easily by Whiscash and 2 Ice Beams. And we get a flinch with a Rock Slide Drapion. I couldn't believe he was actually faster than Honchkrow, but I'm not complaining, and we take him down with 2 Rock Slides. And that's Cyrus beaten once and for all. Honestly, he might just be my favorite boss of any Pokemon bad guy team, if you will. And now Giratina is staring us down intensely. And because we can't have any legendaries on this run, we just take him out with Togekiss. Oh, there he is, Flint, one of the many inspirations of our team. But before worrying about Flint, we need to worry about Volkner and getting this 8th gym badge. We take care of his Jolteon with a Flamethrower crit after he survives the Earthquake and uses a full restore. And Raichu does a lot more damage than I thought it would to us as we switch into Whiscash to take out the next Pokemon. We do one-shot with an Earthquake, however, so that's another Pokemon out the way. We do risk it and bring in Infernape, assuming he doesn't one-shot us and get an Earthquake away, but then he uses Quick Attack and doesn't finish us off, but we get stuck in Paralyzed from the Jolteon earlier, and he uses another one to take us down. We get him to use a full restore with Bronzong and do a little bit of extra damage, but he does take us down with a few fire punches. And I had a realization that he doesn't actually have anything that will do a lot of damage to Whiscash, so Whiscash cannot get one shot when he comes in. So we bring in Whiscash to take the Electivire out with Earthquake. And even though his last Pokemon is a very strong Luxray, I feel we can cheese it with Togekiss because everyone else is weak. And we didn't get the flinch back to back, so we just decided to use Aura Sphere and do some extra damage for the next Pokemon to come in, and then we just get a crit out of nowhere and finish him off anyway, so yeah. Thank you Togekiss, thank you the full team, we have all our 8 badges. And we are finally here, Victory Road awaits. So our team is Elite Four ready. We got everyone to level 59 because that's the level of the 8 of the 4th member. And we collected some items like the Never Melt Ice, the Flame Plate from the Underground, we got the Choice Specs and all that good stuff, but we're not going to use any of them until we get to the champion. So Togekiss has Air Slash, Aura Sphere, Fly and Extreme Speed. Bronzong has Extra Sentry, Grass Knot, Shadow Ball and Flash Cannon. Whiscash has Earthquake, Ice Beam, Surf and Amnesia. Infernape has Flamethrower, Earthquake, Shadow Claw and Brick Break. And finally, our Drapion has Poison Jab, Crunch, Rock Slide and Strength. I'm going to equip all the items that we farmed when we get to the champion, because the other members of the Elite Four are a bit lower level than us, so it just wouldn't be fair on them. But before we actually go into the Elite Four, I completely forgot, but we have to take down Barry. He kind of helps us by using close combat, so we just one-shot him with Ice Beam from Whiscash. We take down his Roserade in one-shot with Flamethrower from Infernape. Surprisingly, his Empoleon survives an Earthquake from Whiscash, so we just use another one and take down the Empoleon, but it does some real damage to us. Togekiss annihilates Heracross with Air Slash, and we wanted to give Drapion a turn, so we use Rock Slide and then Crunch on the Rapidash. And the Snorlax puts in a shift against Infernape using Earthquake, taking out over half of their health, but it's not enough in the end, and we do take it out and Barry with it. So on this run, at the very least, that's the last we will see of Barry. Now, just to make it interesting for the Elite Four, what we're going to do is, if a Pokemon goes down while we're taking down the Elite Four and Champion, that Pokemon cannot be revived. It can only be healed outside of battle, but not revived. So first off, it should be pretty easy. It's going to be Aaron, just pretty much all bug types. We take down his Yanmega with Infernape using Flamethrower. Now, Drapion is the only one can cause us even a little bit of a problem, so we send out Whiscash and take care of it. So he sends out Heracross after that, and we bring in Togekiss to take care of him with an Air Slash. And Air Slash doesn't take out Vespiquen in one shot, he full restores. Then we use Extreme Speed and then Air Slash again and take out the Vespiquen. And for Scizor, there's only one man for the job, and it's going to be Infernape with a 4-time super effective Flamethrower. And we take down the first member of the Elite Four. Unfortunately, it was a little bit easy because of our levels, but if we don't want to get stomped in the final fight, then this is the only way to do it, without using rare candies in between fights. Okay, so next it's going to be Bertha, the groundswoman. It does take a little while, but we do take down the Whiscash after a full restores and stuff like that, but only just. Now it's going to be time for the MVP of this battle at least. It's going to be Whiscash with Ice Beam, 4-time super effective, one-shots the Gliscor. But I do want to save Whiscash for later, so I bring in Togekiss against the Hippowdon, and we get a crit second turn, taking it down in 2 shots. Now it's time for Golem to come out, and we one-shot it with Surf. Now, I wasn't sure whether we was going to outspeed Rhyperior, because Whiscash isn't the fastest in the world, but we do, and we one-shot the Rhyperior as well with a 4-time super effective Surf. And that's 2 members of the Elite Four down, 2 to go. Now it's time for the heated battle against Fiery Elite Four Flint. His Houndoom doesn't really last too long with Infernape because we just break him and one-shot him. He brings in his own Infernape thinking we're going to do the whole Infernape versus Infernape, but we're not. I bring in Whiscash and one-shot him with Earthquake. And knowing that his Rapidash needs Sunny Day to be up to use Solar Beam first turn, we use Earthquake because it's basically just a free kill, really. And it's the same with his Magmortar. I know he will use Solar Beam because it's 4-time super effective, so we're just getting free kills against the Magmortar and the Rapidash who have Solar Beam. We decide to switch to Surf in case we need those Earthquakes for later, so what we do is we just use 2 Surfs to take down the Flareon, and that's 3 members of the Elite Four down. He might have been the easiest. Okay, we need to play this very carefully. It's against Lucian, because if we lose one of our Pokemon, then it's going to make the champion battles so difficult. So because Mr. Mime puts screens up, I kind of risk Infernape. We just survive and Brick Break and then Flamethrower. I need Drapion on as much health as possible because I think Drapion is the key to beating Espeon and Alakazam, and that's exactly what he does in one crunch. Again, putting Infernape's life at risk here by switching him in against Bronzong, hoping that we get the Flamethrower. If we get a decent roll, it takes it out. If we get a low roll, it doesn't. But I don't think we had many choices there, as Gallade is a really big pain, so I think that was the best way to go. And then Drapion just survives a Focus Blast from Alakazam on 21 health, and then we one-shot it with Crunch. Even though Drapion's not been great until now, honestly, it's showing up at the most clutch moments. So the plan is get a few hits away with Bronzong, and then switch into Togekiss, knowing he'll use Drain Punch. We know we don't take the Gallade out in one shot, and his ability activates after he flinches, increasing his speed and making him faster than us. but he doesn't take us out either with a Stone Edge unless it's a crit, so we finish him off with an Air Slash. Honestly, that Gallade caused us so much trouble. It was close there. We nearly lost a couple of Pokemon in that one, but thankfully we kept them all. We then equipped some items, most important ones being Never Melt Ice for the Garchomp and the Flame Plate and Choice Specs just to do pure damage, and we're ready to take on Cynthia. We hope anyway. She's higher level than us and she has one extra Pokemon, so this will be difficult. But we do manage to take down the Spiritomb quite easily with Drapion, as it doesn't really have any good moves against us. And the Garchomp does a ton of damage to us in Earthquake, so we only get one shot at this. Will a Never Melt Ice Ice Beam be enough to take down the big scary monster who is Cynthia's ace? It will. That's the most dangerous Pokemon taken care of by a mile, so it's looking pretty good so far. And then because Roserade's 4 times super effective against us, it brings out Roserade. It's nice to get Roserade out of there nice and quick, so Infernape takes care of her with a Flamethrower. But it looks like my Lotic is just too much for Togekiss, who uses Mirror Coat and Dragon Pulse and stuff like that to take us out, and that's the first Pokemon gone. So we bring in Drapion to finish the Milotic off, which I think is the most troublesome Pokemon after Garchomp. But then Togekiss comes in, who I completely forgot about, and takes out Drapion. I did think we might have a chance of outspeeding, but apparently not. We end up doing quite a lot of damage to the Togekiss, but Bronzong just can't take it on a one-on-one, so Bronzong goes down. And that's 3 Pokemon down. We only have 2 left, so it's come down to a 2v2. And we use Flamethrower in hopes that it takes out the Togekiss because it's quite bulky, and we didn't need to worry because we do get a critical hit, fortunately. And then Lucario comes out, who stands no chance against Infernape as we use Flamethrower with another critical hit just to ensure that we take it down in one shot. Was we a bit fortunate then? Maybe a little. But luck is a skill as well. And there it is, we did it. The Elite Four has been defeated with Pokemon that might look a little familiar to them. And we have become the champion of Sinnoh using their own Pokemon. Honestly, that was one of the most difficult runs we've done yet, but it was a lot of fun to see what the actual Elite Four would be like doing the actual Platinum playthrough themselves. More to come very soon, so make sure to smash that subscribe button if you want more challenge runs. And if you've got any recommendations for challenge runs that you want to see, just let me know, and I'll catch you on the next one.